This is a survey of the available commands for checking the current running state of a node and the TIBCO Streaming application running inside. I expect you're interested in this if you are deploying Stream-based applications and interested in ways to check on the application's health and troubleshooting in a live environment. To begin, let me describe the architecture of a streaming cluster. A cluster is made of one or more installed nodes. They may be in any state. As soon as a node is installed, the cluster services are started. Without at least one node, there is no cluster. A node is defined by its application archive, a zip file, the node deploy configuration, and any administrative commands executed after installation. A running node has one or more engines which are individual Java virtual machines, JVMs. The epadmin command allows inspection of a streaming application's containers, streams, adapters, operators, tables, and dynamic variables, among other objects. epadmin is our main command line tool for showing application state. The epadmin command has many command targets, which work with the display command and read and get commands to show static, momentary, and aggregate values for these targets. The display services command will report on all cluster services on all discoverable nodes for all clusters that respond on that discovery port. The key piece of information is the service name for service type equaling node. You will use this for the service name parameter for nearly all the following commands. The most useful commands for just finding out what is running are these. The first two provide general information and do not need a service name. The rest of the commands are directed to a specific node or cluster and need the service name parameter. I will now go through a bunch of these quickly so you can see the type of output available. You are welcome to pause this video at any point to more closely inspect the output provided. For reference, this is the main event flow for the simple application on which all of the following commands report. Display node reports a wealth of information including start state, hostname, ports, the node physical directory, when the node was started, and security. Node state relates to the node lifecycle. The engines only run when the node is started. Engine state is reported from a command we'll see shortly. Display cluster local gives a sense of the cluster size as seen by each node. Display cluster configuration reports the state of communication between nodes, including parameters, counts, limits, and encryption key stores. Display version does what you think it does, and is useful for quickly answering whether you are running the version you think you're running. Display metric lists the names and types of self-reported server data. Use this to find what can be reported. The following read metric command reports the actual values. Here's the memory percentage used histogram, and the memory used in bytes. When the histogram values are nearly the same, the server has reached a steady state. Display history provides a snapshot of momentary CPU, memory, and transaction state. Supported statistics shows what can be monitored using the display statistics command for this node. Many statistics are not actively monitored until they are enabled using epadmin enable statistics. Display statistics output varies by what was requested. Multiple reports may be returned by separating the statistics parameter value with a comma-separated list. This lifecycle statistic shows events and durations. The memory usage statistic shows transactional memory use, not heap. This is important for clusters that keep significant amounts of QueryTable data in transactional memory. Display realm identifies the active authentication configurations by name and type. This is important when multiple realms are in use and you are troubleshooting authentication failures. Display user is good for troubleshooting access controls. Display AvailabilityZone is important when running across multiple zones and troubleshooting quorum failures. Display router helps troubleshoot load balancing within and across zones. Display authentication helps debug access failures. Check whether load time matches your expectations. Display partition reports for all partitions, usually up to 64, the active and replica nodes, state, and zone, among other details. Display trusted reports the external systems from which administrative commands may come without requiring authentication. Display Engine gives you each engine's paths, ports, URLs, state, start time, and whether debugging is enabled. Remember, there can be multiple engines in a node. Display Application reports each application's fragment name and start time. Remember that multiple applications can be running in an engine. Display Logging shows all the named logback loggers available in the node. Each logger's level can be changed dynamically while the applications are running. Display Connection shows the Streambase Client API clients the stream's connected to, and memory, which is important if a client is getting backlogged and causing queues to grow on the server. Display Configuration shows all the parsed and active configuration objects, which are more fine-grained than just project.conf files. This reports what configuration objects are available and active or inactive. Display Container shows all Streambase containers inside each engine, the application main module loaded, state, and context. GetTunable lists all the transactional memory layer configuration values. Note this is not display, but get. The reason for get is that these can be modified in a running node using the set command. It's rare for these to be modified from platform defaults, so make sure to get guidance from your local TIBCO contacts before making changes. Display Operator shows engine, module path, status, and cluster config for operators. There can be thousands of operators in an application, node, and cluster, so you can use filters for engine, type, and path to narrow the results. GetOperator takes a path, which is a container.module.operatorName path, to identify a specific event flow operator. It reports the engine and all properties and their current configuration. Some properties can be changed at runtime using setOperator, but most will not have an effect. For example, changing a setting that would modify a schema or enable or disable a port can have no runtime effect. DynVar reports the current values of the available dynamic variables. Since this is a get, you'd be correct to think that there is an equivalent set command. This can be useful for checking and changing state within an event flow application while it is running. Display Adapter shows running status, adapter type, and cluster awareness for adapters. This is useful for troubleshooting when data is not flowing. Perhaps the adapter is stopped. There are commands to stop and restart or suspend and resume adapters. Display Web reports the node web service addresses and services available. I mention this here because these are useful for administrating via web browser or REST endpoint, some of the things we've talked about so far. Display Stream reports exposed stream paths, type, and the Detailed option adds the schema to the report. Display QueryTable shows number of rows, cardinality, path, storage, schema, indexes, distribution policy, among other values useful for troubleshooting. A typical problem is when a query table has more rows than expected, and this starts to impact memory. In summary, once you identify what information is important to track to determine the health of your application, the information is available via epadmin and other endpoints. The full set of epadmin commands are documented here in the streaming product documentation. And from the command line, use epadmin help targets and epadmin help target name, such as epadmin help snapshot. Thank you for watching this presentation. Please leave any suggestions or comments here or visit our community site. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to our channel.